Welcome back to the Triple Coverage Podcast. My name is Mitchell Graham,
I'm Zach Brown.
and it is week 10 or week 11. We just came off of week 10. We have college football playoff rankings that are out, which means we are close to
Gosh,
the
where'd
end
the
of the
season
season.
go?
It's
Where'd the
crazy.
season go, man? Gosh.
Cue that one song, Where'd All the Time Go? So that's how it feels. But we got a loaded show today. We got recaps of week 10, some coaching carousel talk, but we're going to start it off talking about the new playoff rankings that came out a couple days ago. So I'm going to put that up here. Let's see. I'm going to put that up here. We have the new rankings available. Zach, looking at these rankings, was there anything that jumped off the screen to you about the rankings, where people are, etc.?
Yeah, I'm a supporter of Notre Dame. I think they're a good team, but putting them ahead of other two-loss teams like Texas, Oklahoma, um, and Miami, who they lost to, was a little
Yep.
confusing to me. They all have two losses. I think Notre Dame has probably the worst resume out of those teams. And again, I do think Notre Dame is a good team, and I do think that they are a playoff worthy team, but I don't think they should be ranked ahead of those teams because the committee said that they said they were going to take seriously this year strength of schedule, strength of record. They were going to put a high priority on that, and it doesn't look like they did that. It also looks like for a majority of the top 10, they kind of just copy and pasted the AP poll. There's really no creativity, no uniqueness there. I really legitimately thought that let me back up a little bit. I think that with the AP, the College Football Playoff Committee saying that they take into account strength of schedule and strength of record, I'm not sure I believe that, because if that was the case, Texas A&M should be number one. They've got the number one strength of schedule, number one strength of record right now, so they should be sitting at number one. And Indiana should be sitting at number two, and Ohio State at three. So just kind of swap 1 and 3, but they didn't. Right now, it's one of those things where rankings still don't really matter at this point. It's only going to matter at the end of the season. But that was really the two qualms I had about it. Everybody else, I think, is kind of in a reasonable spot. I know Miami. I don't necessarily have an issue with them being down at 18, but I don't think they should be ranked above Notre Dame, seeing as they have the same record and they have the head-to-head win over Notre Dame. So that's really my two issues with the playoff right now.
I don't really have an issue with it. I think there's some things that really popped off the screen to me. The fact that Iowa is 20, but not ranked in the AP poll, was very interesting to me. Iowa is 26th in the AP poll, and they're 20th in the college football playoff. I think they're holding a lot of weight to the close loss to Indiana. Iowa is the only team that's really played Indiana close this year, other than Oregon until the fourth quarter.
They've got some good wins too.
They have some good wins, and so putting them at 20, I think, was fair. And then you look at a team like Georgia Tech, and Cody's not here to defend them, but Georgia Tech doesn't have a good win.
No ranked wins.
No ranked wins, and then they lose. So I think that they made a statement by putting them down at 17. You look at a team like Oregon. Oregon's best win, and I think this is where it gets a little tricky. Oregon's best win is Penn State. When they played Penn State at home or they played them on the road, whiteout, Penn State was still a number 2 team, not top 3 team.
Yeah.
Now you look at it and you're like, okay, that Penn State team sucks. But
right.
does that disvalue the win now? Seeing what Penn State is? I don't know if it should, but I think it is, because Oregon is way lower than probably what they expected. Sitting at 9, sitting behind a BYU and Texas Tech. Other than that, I think that Utah is pretty high for having 2 losses, sitting at number 13. Again, their 2 losses are to the number 7 and number 8 team in the nation. So that makes sense. And then Tennessee being at 25, 3 losses, sitting at 25, I think is very interesting that they stayed in there. Now, in the past, people would say that they stayed in there to help Bama's resume, but I don't think that's the case. And then a thing that I appreciated about this, and it was pretty consistent across the board except for Miami, they valued, hey, did you beat this team? Okay, then we're gonna put them up, we're gonna put you above them.
Yeah.
And you see that because Alabama's ahead of Georgia, Oklahoma or Texas is in front of Oklahoma. I appreciated them doing that. But I think it's very, if you would have said at the beginning of the year, the first college football playoff rankings, the highest ranked ACC team would be Virginia. I
Yeah.
think none of us would have believed it. Because right now, Virginia, they slotted Virginia in as the automatic qualifier
Yeah.
for the ACC, and the ACC would be getting 1 team.
Yeah. Rip Cody's prediction of getting 3 teams in the playoff this year. Knew that wasn't going to happen.
That looks very, very, that almost looks impossible right now at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say something and then it slipped my mind. But yeah, to your point, the rankings right now, there's a lot of things that I like about it, but those were kind of the issues that I had with it was where teams were. Several teams, like Georgia Tech doesn't have any ranked wins, so that's where they are. And I hate myself for not remembering a point that I was going to bring up. I cannot think of what I was going to bring up, but also, putting Georgia ahead of Ole Miss, they won the head-to-head. Yep. So that was good on the committee to do that. But we're going to see what happens. Like this week, we've got a 7v8 matchup. I remember what I was going to comment on when you said should Oregon be penalized for the fact that Penn State is not as good as we thought they were. I'm of the opinion that yes, I believe that your wins should be counted on a week-to-week basis based on how good that team is.
But that team was way different than they are now. So you're telling me if Penn State,
are they? Because they lost 3 in a row. They lost a bad team.
They lost in overtime. They lost in overtime to Oregon. Say that result flips, they win. Are they going to lose to UCLA and Northwestern?
I mean, we don't know. We don't know the answer to that question.
I don't.
Penn State is 0-5 in the Big Ten right now. 0-5.
I know we don't have the job of making assumptions and saying what ifs, but I think it's very fair that A, James Franklin is still the coach of Penn State right now, and B, Penn State is probably undefeated or maybe one loss. The one loss coming to Ohio State last week if they beat Oregon.
Look, my thing is if you have a team that's got, let's just say, for example, 3 wins over teams that finished the season ranked versus a team that's got 3 wins against 3 teams that were ranked but are no longer ranked, I'm going to take resume 1 every day of the week. Those teams ended up proving themselves to be better, and they won those games. And again, that's just my opinion. That's just my view. I think where a team is at the end of the season is a better metric of how good they were when you won that game and that's not maybe the case 100% of the time. I'd say 90% of the time that's the case. Sometimes you get a win over a team that had a hurt quarterback that week, but they came back the next week and were different. I get that. But I think 90% of the time, see where a team is at the end of the year, I think that's a true metric of how strong those wins were.
But do you think that there is a possibility that the Oregon loss broke Penn State's will and derailed their season?
I mean, sure, but that tells me that the mental strength of that team. If you're not mentally tough to move on from that and keep playing football, you're not a very good team. I mean,
I agree with that.
I would say Georgia should have had their wheels broken after losing to Alabama again, but they bounced back and have kept winning since then. They haven't let that affect their season. Because you could say 2 very, very similar situations. Penn State can't seem to win the big games, can't seem to win their whiteout games, whereas Georgia can't seem to beat Alabama. And we both lost those games
Same
when we've been
night,
trying
same
to get
time.
off the schneid. And then one team bounced back, was mentally tough, and hasn't lost a game since then. The other team gave up and lost to a horrendous UCLA team, then lost to Northwestern the following week.
At home.
Matter of fact, have lost every game since then. They're 0-5 in the conference. So that just tells me the leadership of that team, the mental toughness of that team, it's not good. And so therefore that team is not very good. That team is
And
not as good
they
as we
play
thought they
Indiana
would be.
this week, by the way.
Yeah. So that's going to be another blowout.
I think that's just a perspective thing.
Like a couple years ago, for example, when Tennessee was number one for a whopping 2 days. We all remember right before they played Georgia that the committee's argument for Tennessee being number one in the nation is that they had like 7 ranked wins. But at the time they played Georgia, only 2 of those teams were still currently ranked. The other 5 were no longer ranked. And yet Georgia had like 4 or 5 wins against ranked teams, almost all of which were still currently ranked. Our resume was better. And so we should have been number one. Now we proved it on the field like the next game because we beat them. But that's an example that always sticks out in my head is the rankings of the teams that you beat at the end of the season is a better metric than where they were at the beginning of the season. Case in point, Clemson, preseason number 4 team in the nation. You beat them week 1. That looks like a great win. Now that looks like a horrible win. That win for LSU is not a good win anymore. Last year, Florida State was number 10 in the nation.
I was just about to bring
2-10.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account. Again, there are some factors here and there, like a hurt quarterback or maybe a fired coach or something, but we have to take into account, okay, the team didn't end up being as good as we thought they were. So that win is not as good as we thought it was at the time.
That's fair.
All right. Let's move on to some coaching carousel news. Again, every single week we keep talking about this, but I think this is probably the busiest coaching carousel year in memory. Hugh Freeze was fired. So I'm honestly shocked he lasted as long as he did at Auburn. He went 6-16 in the SEC across 3 seasons. They were never really that competitive. I just feel like Hugh Freeze, and I had a lot of confidence in Hugh Freeze when they first hired him. I thought he was going to make some strides in turning Auburn around. But it just kind of looks like he kind of took the same offense he ran at Ole Miss like 7 or 8 years ago, made no adjustments to it, and is trying to run it now when college football has changed.
Yep.
And,
it worked in Liberty.
Yeah. And for Hugh Freeze's system to work, you have to have the right kind of quarterback, and he's whiffed twice. He had Peyton Thorne and Jackson Arnold. He hasn't had the right kind of quarterback to run that system. So I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did, but he's been fired. Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, has been fired. A lot of people are saying that that's kind of writing on the wall for Shane Beamer. Usually when you start firing coordinators mid-season, that's usually not a good sign that you're going to keep your job very long. Mike Shula was a questionable hire to begin with. Man hadn't called plays in 20 years, and they hired him to be their offensive coordinator, and their offense was really bad.
Let's pump the brakes here. Let's go back to Auburn.
Okay, go back to Auburn. Sorry.
Let's go back to Auburn. Who is the name that stands out to you most for that job? I have an answer that I think is the direction they should go, but
I think the best fit for Auburn is John Summerall. I think that's the best fit for Auburn. I'm seeing a lot of Auburn fans say they don't want John Summerall. I mean, everybody wants Lane Kiffin, so that's obviously the number one target. And, they almost landed Lane Kiffin 2 years ago before they hired Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin even says that he was almost going to take that job, but then stayed at Ole Miss. So, he's obviously at the top of their board. They want guys like, names are slipping my mind, but
I have the name. I have the guy that I think is going to be the guy. I think it's Kenny Dillingham.
Yes, that was another one, and because he was the offensive coordinator for Bo Nix.
I think that Kenny Dillingham might be the guy, and I feel like he is an SEC. I think he's
It's another alma mater, though. It's another.
But
will you leave your alma mater?
And so then if they don't go Dillingham's direction, I think they stay within the SEC. I think they go to Drink. I think they call Eli Drinkwitz.
See, now Drinkwitz is a guy that's at the top of Florida's big board. And I think if you've got Florida and Auburn, I think Florida's probably a better job. Yeah, you go Florida. Because I'm not sure Kiffin's going to land at Florida. I do think Kiffin is leaving, 100% leaving, because you see all these other coaches who were named in coaching searches sign extensions. Why has Kiffin not done that yet? Now, he could very well stay at Ole Miss, but I'm just saying you could quiet all these rumors by just signing an extension. But he hasn't done that yet. So,
do you want to hear the most surprising hot board guy on the reported hot board for Auburn? Do you know the name?
What, Fran Brown?
Or Jimbo Fisher.
Oh, I have seen that. I have seen Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher is on the short list for Auburn.
Look, Jimbo Fisher has said that he's wanting to get back into coaching. He's already building a staff right now. He's ready. He's already got guys ready to hire as soon as he gets a job. And listen, if Jimbo Fisher, if he gets hired again and if he learns to just delegate play calling to somebody else,
he's a good coach.
He could be dangerous again. His problem at Texas A&M is the problem that so many coaches have. They will not delegate those responsibilities to somebody else. That's why Billy Napier got fired. He would not give play call duties to someone else. They had an offensive coordinator, but they wouldn't let him call plays. And that's why I think Steve Sarkisian's gotten himself into a little bit of trouble this year. Hand the play call duties to somebody else. And I think if Jimbo Fisher will do that, then he could be a solid option for Auburn, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of names that are going to be surprising be hired at places, but will be solid hires. Like either really good coordinators or group of 5 coaches that have had sustained long-term success that are not going to be the sexiest hire, but I think it'll be a solid hire because the biggest names out there are not available. Lane Kiffin's the only really big name that's available.
I've heard a lot of rumbling on Florida's side about what's his name? Jeff Brom.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. But again, that's another alma mater. He loves Louisville. I don't see him leaving Louisville.
Yeah.
If you could pry him away, that's a great hire.
That would be a hire that I would be very sick to my stomach having to play.
Now, I'll say this. I saw Josh Pate went on somebody's podcast, I think yesterday.
Bussing with the boys.
And they asked him if he had any inside information about the coaching carousel. And he said that, he didn't want his name attached. He's just off the record. Keep your eye on Lincoln Riley at USC. So maybe Lincoln Riley jumps ship somewhere else. I don't know. But
he's got Pete Nakos that literally works right beside him. One of the On3 guys, one of the big reporters for On3. So that's where he gets a lot of his information. So
yeah. So I mean, keep an eye on Lincoln Riley possibly coming back to the SEC, maybe, or not coming back because
he was never there. But yeah,
to begin with. But right when he's starting to have success at USC, finally starting to get somewhere, and then maybe jumping ship somewhere else.
USC's finally kind of playing Big Ten football.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it could happen. I'm thinking Glenn Schumann could legitimately get pried away somewhere this year. I think he could take maybe the Arkansas job, maybe maybe like the Oklahoma State job or something. But I think Oklahoma State is keyed in on the Falcons offensive coordinator. I don't remember his name. But I think all the reports I'm seeing says
he can go. He can go.
They basically have already hired him.
Zach Robinson.
Yeah,
he can go.
Virginia Tech. It's apparently a done deal. James Franklin is going to be the next head coach at Virginia Tech. It's not been officially announced yet, but it's pretty much a done deal.
It's a very solid hire.
Oh, absolutely. James Franklin's going to dominate the ACC. I mean, think about the 2 head coaching jobs that James Franklin has had: SEC, Vanderbilt. 9 wins every year at Vandy, which was crazy because that roster back then was much worse than the roster they have now.
Yeah.
And that perennial 9 wins, 8-4, 9-3 every season. Then he goes to the Big Ten. He's coached in the 2 best conferences in college football. And while he couldn't win the biggest games on the biggest stages, he won a lot of games. You could bank on 10-2 every season at Penn State. Now you're going to go into the weakest Power 4 conference in college football. Sorry, Cody, but it's the truth. You're going to go to the weakest Power 4 conference at a Virginia Tech program that's poised to start running that conference again, has the resources to do it. Virginia Tech could be dangerous. It's a green eye.
Do we want to move on to some last week games?
There's one more coach that got fired, Mike Loxley at Maryland. Loxley was fired.
That did not actually happen. That was a fake report.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, see, well, I got duped. So
that was a fake report that made national news. But no, he is still the head coach of the Maryland Terrapins for now.
You know what's really surprising is that somehow Bill Belichick is still at UNC. After all the drama this year,
they're getting better.
After literally telling his agent that he wants a buyout, he wants to get out of his contract, he stuck around.
Hey, they just won their first ACC game.
Okay, can we really qualify that as getting better? Syracuse started a guy that was there on lacrosse scholarship at quarterback.
They almost beat California. They almost beat Cal, and they almost beat Virginia. So they're playing competitive games now.
I don't know if they're necessarily getting better. But anyways, let's move on to recapping last week's game, unless there was something else you wanted to talk about.
I think that's
now let's go on to Vandy, Texas. This game went about as I expected it to, being at home. I said that Texas being at home for the first time in over a month, they were going to come out and play good football. They got a big lead, and then they almost blew it. I mean, the onside kick there at the end, heartbreaker for Vandy because they recovered it. They just recovered it out of bounds.
Yeah,
so crazy. Texas sweats their butt off. Finally, they pull out a nail-biter win there. But again, still a good win and a good loss for Vandy. Nothing really to hang your head about, especially scoring 21 unanswered points there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, they fought.
So, any comments on that game?
I mean, it was a fun game. I think Texas found their offense, and I think that's a positive for Texas. Arch played a great game. They were able to run the football, and they just looked really multiple, which is what Sark has always been really good at. Throwing different looks at you, not staying in the same sets, not looking vanilla. A lot of eye discipline it takes on defense to beat a Sark offense, and that's what they were making Vanderbilt do. It was not a sharp game for Vanderbilt tackling-wise. They missed a bunch of tackles in this game, especially early. First play of the game goes for a touchdown off of 3 broken tackles or missed tackles. They weren't even broken tackles. They were just missed tackles. I think Arch is getting better, which is I think is pretty normal progression for a guy. I think he's finally kind of finding himself. I think Texas is a team that now you look at them, they're jump up 9 spots from last week. They're in the hunt. But we know Texas has a game in Athens and then a game against A&M. So it's a gauntlet to end the season for Texas. But I think this was a lot of positives for Texas coming out of this game with how their offense performed. I think it's a good look ahead to how maybe their team next year is going to be with Arch. If they can just gel and do what they did. I really liked the game plan from Texas coming out of this game. And obviously the score came in with 3, like you said, they almost blew it. But Texas got very conservative in the fourth quarter, especially defensively as well. And then they missed it. They had a couple of busts, and that was the difference.
Yeah. The next game was Miami SMU. Miami drops their second game in a row. Mario Cristobal, the curse of Mario Cristobal strikes again. Late season teams. We got to start looking at Mario Cristobal. I mean, he did the same thing at Oregon. Their teams would be a lot different in November than they were at the beginning of the season. Miami looks different. They look very vulnerable. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think everybody would agree that Miami looked like the most complete team in football.
Yeah.
But after these last 2 games, they don't look like a great team anymore. And Carson Beck looks like the 2024 Carson Beck.
Yep.
And then not a great look throwing your offensive coordinator under the bus after the game instead of taking responsibility after, honestly, a horrendous decision in overtime. It was just a really bad decision. Guy was not open at all and threw it right to the defender. Credit to SMU. A lot of talks about Rhett Lashley was going to take a new job. He signs an extension like a day before the game. They go out and win a big one at home. So Miami, their playoff hopes are fading fast, especially with how Cristobal teams typically play in November. They basically have to be perfect from here on out. And Carson Beck, we saw last year that when he starts getting in these ruts of bad decisions and bad picks, it kind of snowballs. It kind of snowballs. So he's got to turn it around. And I think, again, I appreciate Carson Beck's time here at Georgia, but I think what we've seen these last 2 to 3 weeks at Miami only proves that the rumors about him being a locker room problem are true. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think this game was very I think I should have picked SMU to win this game because look at how bad SMU played against Wake Forest. They lost 13-12 against a bad Wake Forest team.
Yeah.
Like a really bad Wake Forest team.
Well, I'll push back on that. Wake Forest is a lot better than people give them credit for. They're 5-4. All their losses have been close. Other than last week, all their losses have been close losses.
Right.
And Dickert is actually now on a lot of people's hot boards as well because Wake Forest was projected to win 2 games this year, and they're actually playing pretty well. So,
anyways, they scored 12 points against, which is not good in any stretch of the imagination, scoring 12 points. I knew this would be a bounce back game. They had to play better. They're at home, a bunch of people coming out, just a huge game. First time playing Miami ever. It's the first matchup between these two schools. And if you look at the box score, you used to watch Josh Pate. He would call this a paper popper stat. And 40 rushes for 159 yards for one team, 25 rushes for 23 yards for one team. SMU was team 2.
Oh, wow.
SMU ran for 23 yards in this game and won.
Wow.
Kevin Jennings, 365 yards passing with a touchdown, 29 of 44. He won them the game. And look, SMU has everything in front of them now. They're 4-1 in the ACC. They're 6-3 overall. They're 4-1 in the ACC. If they went out, they're 7-1, and I think they get tiebreakers over a couple of these people right now because they would have beaten Louisville, so they would have if they went out, they would have beaten Louisville, and then they have to contend with 1 loss Georgia Tech, 1 loss Pittsburgh if they're still 1 loss. So SMU has everything out in front of them right now to repeat into the conference championship. Now Miami, on the other hand, they're 6-2, but they're now 2-2 in the ACC. So them getting in auto is going to take a lot of carnage in the ACC for them to make the championship and then get in. I think that it's going to take a lot of action for Miami to get into the playoff, which is crazy. Seeing as a couple weeks ago, I thought they were the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also goes to show you that when you don't ever leave the state of Florida, that when you get a true road game, it comes back to bite you. I mean, they look like a totally different team on the road. So it's beneficial to get true road games and leave the state of Florida.
Agreed.
And hey, Kevin Jennings, credit to him because he played horrible at Wake Forest last week. But then he was able to have a bounce back performance. So hats off to him. Yep. The next game we did was Navy, North Texas. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Eric Morris, I wish I was here for the show last week, but Eric Morris, I think a lot of people are going to start looking at him. You want to talk about a true quarterback whisperer? It's Eric Morris. Yep. Dude trained Patrick Mahomes. He trained Cam Ward at Incarnate Word, or he coached them. And then he takes a guy that never started a high school football game, 0-star recruit at quarterback, Mestamaker, and he's throwing for 400, 500, 600 yards a week. So a lot of people are going to start looking at Eric Morris now at North Texas. And North Texas is poised to possibly be that group of 5. Now, Memphis, I think, would have to lose another game for North Texas to be that group of 5 representative, but it could happen. Arizona State, Iowa State. Oh, wait, did you want to comment on Navy, North Texas?
No, I just think that the funny thing about that game is that the rushing attack of North Texas is what won it. They had their running back Hawkins had 197 yards and 4 touchdowns, all 4 touchdowns. Mestamaker was 19 of 24, 234, played a really clean game. but North Texas out-Navied Navy in that game.
Yeah. Arizona State, Iowa State. Jeff Sims actually won the
Jeff
game.
Sims wins a game, baby.
And I'll say this. I think I was dead wrong about Iowa State. I mean, there's like no fight in this Iowa State team. They got off to a great start, winning in Ireland, and it looked like things were promising. But this, I think, is why Matt Campbell hasn't taken another job, because of the inconsistencies we see every year with his teams.
Yeah,
they get off to hot starts, and then they'll hit a plateau of losing 4 or 5 games in a row. So I think this is the reason why Matt Campbell hasn't taken a job and probably won't. He'll probably be comfortable at Iowa State for the rest of his life.
Yep.
Didn't watch any of this game, so I can't really evaluate it.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why Iowa State should have lost with a Jeff Sims-led Arizona State team.
Thank you, though. Thank you, Jeff Sims.
Georgia, Florida. We may spend a few minutes here.
Yeah.
This was a great game. Didn't miss a minute. I think this was the only game I was able to watch in its entirety last Saturday, just with some things we had going on. But just about what I expected. I mean, Florida came out, threw some haymakers. I will say, unexpectedly, Georgia's defense played better than I thought they would. Played a lot better than I thought they were going to play. They got some stops early in the game. Georgia storms down the field, scores on the first drive, and then stalls out for the rest of the half. And then same exact thing to start the second half. Scores on the first drive, and then stalls out until the fourth quarter. But credit to Florida. I mean, they played a great game. Their defense was ready. They were prepared. But I want to know how that Gums guy is doing right now. That dude was jaw-jacking the whole game. He was acting like he was on crack, and then they lost the game. But listen, I don't think we are – I was listening to somebody say this today. I think gone are the days where you're going to see a team just be elite in every position. And I think that the reason why Georgia fans are maybe disappointed with this team, myself included, is I think we're comparing it to the 2021-2022 rosters. I don't think you're ever going to see that kind of team again with the NIL transfer portal era. So we have to stop comparing it to those teams and just look at the team this year. I think we're still number one or top, close to top in the conference in offense. We were number one in offensive efficiency before the Florida game. I don't know where we dropped after that. We are number 4 or 5 in the SEC in explosive plays allowed, which was surprising to me.
We just allow third down conversions, so we don't.
Well, really, it's not even third down; it's second down. Yeah. Because the reason why people keep converting third downs is because it's 3rd and 2 every time. Yeah. It's the second down. We're losing second down like every single drive. We're losing second down. But we got some key third down stops in this game. Yep. I just want to the biggest points in this game was the 4th and 1 stop. Incredible stop there. The 3rd and 8, the ballsy 3rd and 8 run by Chauncey Bowens when most people would have passed the ball, and if I'm not mistaken, I think a pass play was called, and Gunnar Stockton checked it to a run play on 3rd and 8 to get that first down, and then the Chauncey Bowens touchdown run to actually end up winning the game. Chauncey Bowens needs to be at running back 1. We've been saying it for weeks. Let the guy take the majority of the carries. He beat the team that he decommitted to Georgia for. So those were some big moments in this game. Again, this team just continues to find ways to win late in the game. And I'll end with this. I heard this stat on the way home from work today that Kirby Smart is 15-19 since 2016 when trailing in the fourth quarter. Now that's a losing record. However, no one in college football has even close to the same winning percentage or amount of wins when trailing in the fourth quarter than Kirby Smart's led Georgia team.
I don't think Kirby has 19 total losses in his career as a coach.
He's 15-19 when trailing in the fourth quarter. Kirby Smart, Georgia team since 2016, 15-19, which is absolutely crazy.
Dang.
So That just goes to show you they're hard to kill, like Kirby said, hard to kill.
Yeah, this is slowly becoming, and I don't like watching this team week to week. I'm not gonna lie. I do not like watching this team week to week, but they're becoming one of my favorite Georgia teams because it's just like every single member of that team wants to go to war for each other. And it's not the most talented defense we've ever had, not even close. I think offensively we're not as elite as we have been in years past, but I think we're really good. The thing I said about Texas earlier, we're very multiple. I really like how multiple we are this year. How we can come out and we can toss sweep, or we can just run it down your throat, or we can play action, or we can hit the screens, which the screens are working, everyone that hates the screens are working. And the screens opened up that touchdown to Noah Thomas, the second touchdown to Noah Thomas, because you distracted him with Zach Branch, you fake him, and then you have Noah Thomas over the top. Bobo knows what he's doing. But this team is just they fight for each other, and the fans are going to hate this team for 3 quarters and then love them in the fourth. And I think that once again, it's another one of those wins that's just going to make you have more momentum. Now, this week, Mississippi State is going to be a tough game because it's hard to play in Starkville, but I think this team has proven to themselves and everyone that they're going to be one of the hardest teams to beat in college football, because you could even ask Alabama. I think we more lost that game ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we kind of killed ourselves in that game. So I think a good stat for me, Zachariah Branch, 10 catches for 112. Got very involved in the game. And then Chauncey Bowens, 9 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Multiple guys had as always, had multiple carries in this game, but Bowens was the main second half guy, very explosive. And I liked it. I liked saving him for the second half. He was playing a fresh game in the second half. Frazier was good. And then we were really good on third down defensively this week. Florida went 2 of 11 on third down. Best third down efficiency we've had against a Power 4 team this year.
Yeah.
So I think there's strides, there's steps. Glenn Schumann coached a good game. C.J. Allen had 13 tackles in this game.
Oh, C.J. Allen had one of the best games he's had in his time at Georgia.
Oh, 100%. He made that tackle against Lagway that saved a touchdown. I think they eventually scored that drive anyway, but that play saved the touchdown. Very good win for Georgia. We could talk for a while about every Georgia win just because the games are so tight. And this is another score that I think is misleading because Gunnar could have walked into the end zone. We could have won by 11 at the end of that game, but he didn't. He made the smart play. As much as the bettors probably hate him, he made the smart play. It doesn't matter. Win's a win.
Yeah, which I think, honestly, the kneel down at the 1 yard line is probably more insulting than.
Oh, it's cold. It's so cold, dude. He looked at him, and then it was awesome,
dude. And just to quickly mention the complaints about the officiating. I've noticed, and I thought this to myself on the way home from your house, your mom's house, actually, when we watched the game together. But I thought this. Back when Alabama was dominating for 17 years, every single time they would win a game, every single time they'd win a close game, all you would see on social media for the next week was refs love Bama. Bama gets all the calls. You'd see memes of referees wearing Bama jerseys or whatever. And guess what? We're seeing that now with Georgia.
Yep.
It's the teams that are successful that are always quote unquote bailed out by the refs. Listen, it wasn't a catch at the end of the game. Wasn't enough evidence to say that it was a catch.
No, there's been multiple other angles that have shown that a ball clearly.
Even if it was a catch, there's no guarantee they score. So I don't really know what we're arguing here. They always conveniently forget to mention that DJ Lagway clearly fumbled the ball before that 4th and 1 stop. I think it was clear as day that DJ Lagway fumbled that ball, and Quintavious Johnson recovered it. But even though they reviewed it, they didn't overturn the call. But then we had a big ball don't lie moment and stopped them on 4th and 1. So the officiating has been pretty poor all season. And then the craziest call I've ever seen in my life, excessive clapping by a quarterback. Never seen that
I
called.
forgot about that.
I saw somebody on Twitter say that hasn't been called in 17 years in college football. But yeah, the refs are biased against Georgia.
Yep.
So that makes a whole lot of sense. But anyways, I digress. I'll say one last thing, I promise, and then we'll move on to something else. I saw somebody else say this. Those who hate watch Georgia must be putting through torture this year.
Oh yeah.
Because for 3 quarters they're happy, thinking that it's going to happen, and then the fourth quarter they get upset again that Georgia.
They've experienced more happy quarters than we have.
That's true. This is true. All right.
Do we want to talk about any more games, or do we need to get a move on?
Let's briefly touch on
Tennessee.
Oklahoma, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I missed like half of this game, I think, but the parts I did watch, it didn't seem like Oklahoma really dominated Tennessee. It just seemed like Tennessee kind of fumbled away perfect opportunities to win this game. I think Tennessee had an opportunity to run away with this game, but they just kept turning the ball over, making silly mistakes. And Oklahoma took advantage of those mistakes, and it was a big win.
It was all Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar with 2 picks, 2 really bad picks, and a fumble all in the first half. And then Tennessee couldn't stop the run in the second half. Tennessee outgained Oklahoma 456 to 351 in this game and lost the game. But Oklahoma won the rushing battle 192 to 63. So Oklahoma was able to control the ground in the second half. Xavier Robinson, the running back for Oklahoma, broke a couple loose. And then Mateer was really, really useful with his legs in the second half. Tennessee lost this game. I don't think Oklahoma won it. And I know that's like people hate when people say that, but I think this was really good evidence of Tennessee. OU had 99 yards at halftime and was leading.
Yeah.
Tennessee had 245 yards in the first half. Oklahoma had 99, and Oklahoma led by 6.
Yeah. I mean, Tennessee has one of the worst defenses in the SEC this season, and they were playing well in that first half. And the offense just wasn't complimenting them. It wasn't
they weren't finishing drives. They were moving down the field.
They weren't finishing drives. Aguilar making mistakes. The ultimate big boy touchdown with the scoop and score. He's literally just
dragging a
dude into the end zone. That was
sick.
crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think people's tune has really changed on Joey Aguilar since the Georgia game. People were claiming he was going to be a Heisman Trophy contender, and now the last 2 or 3 weeks, especially since the Bama game, he's just making way too many mistakes, which was happening at App State. He had more turnovers than he did touchdowns at App State. And it's rearing its ugly head again. Cincinnati, Utah, didn't watch it, but big win for the Utes there.
Game started at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of that game, but I think Utah ran away with that game. It was never really close. So big win for them. Now let's get into the picks for this week.
Let's do it.
Mitchell, I think, won the week for the first time this season.
I did.
And me and Cody both had pretty poor weeks, but Mitchell had a good one.
I had to.
Yeah, the Kentucky win over Auburn was big for you. But the score currently stands, I still have 118 still in first place. Cody is 111, and Mitchell, you were at 100. So you're still not as far behind, but it's still going to take some legwork.
Look, it's fine. And look, I'm very disappointed that Raiola got hurt against USC because I think they win that game. If Raiola's around, that would have been another point. But that's okay. We move on. I've got a couple. I got some bold ones this week, so let's. I have to.
All right. First game is Georgia and Mississippi State. It's going to be a 12 o'clock kick, 11 o'clock local time. One of those sleepy games. But I'm going to go with Georgia close just because we haven't been able to run away with any game this season other than Kentucky. And this Mississippi State team's a lot better than Kentucky. So I think Georgia's, hangs around. Mississippi State hangs around the whole game. We never really get really a comfortable lead. I think this game could end up being a lot like the Auburn game, where it kind of looks bleak in the first half, and then the second half we kind of hunker down, dominate. It'll be interesting to see how Anthony Evans plays against us, former
He's been
Georgia
really
wide
good.
receiver. He's been big for them this season, but I do think Georgia wins the game, but they win close on the road.
Yeah, I've got Georgia comfortable. The line is at 9.5 right now. I think Georgia can cover that. I think they can. This game screams 24-14 to me, like 27-14, where we're down, like you said, 14-13 or something at some point. We score a couple touchdowns. I think Georgia can cover here. And I mean, Georgia would have covered last week. We all know that if they would have scored. We've already talked about that. I've got Georgia comfortable. I just don't know that Mississippi State can stop the run. And
Yeah.
I think that's what Georgia's going to try to do. If Georgia gets off to an early start in this game, I think this might be the game where they pull away.
Yeah. We've been waiting for it. Good Lord, we've been waiting for it.
Kentucky was kind of that way.
Yeah.
They held their ground a little bit, but that was So
anyway. Last true road trip of the season for Georgia. Do not have another true road game for the rest of the year. So
I'm worried about that Charlotte game, man.
Oh, dude, I'll probably be at that game.
Really? Charlotte's horrible, dude. They're like one of the worst group. They were like one of the worst FBS teams this year.
All right, Texas A&M travels to Missouri. Now, Texas A&M right now is riding high. They're 8-0.
Missouri. I love Texas A&M.
You know, this is kind of the time of the year when they would typically fall off the wagon and start losing some games towards the end of the season. But this is the Mike Elko era. Things, are probably going to be different. Texas A&M fans hope they're going to be different. But things looking promising for the Aggies right now. They're just trying to not blow it. So give me your take on this game.
First career start for Matt Zollers, the backup for Missouri. No Bo Perbila. They had the week off after the loss to Vanderbilt. They've had a lot of time to prep for this. A&M is coming on headed to. Okay, I mean, they're coming off a bye as well. A&M is. Both teams coming off bye. I think A&M wins this game comfortable. I think Missouri can keep it close because of Ahmad Hardy. I think they can. I think really what Drink is going to come out and try to do is limit possessions in this football game. But A&M, just like Georgia, has proven that they can win in multiple ways this year. They can win low-scoring games like they did against Mississippi State, or they can win shootouts like they did against Notre Dame. The low-scoring game was Auburn, and they can win shootouts against Notre Dame. I think this is a really, really good Texas A&M team. I think this is a Texas A&M team that can win a national championship. So I'm going to take Texas A&M comfortable.
Yeah, I'm going to take Texas A&M comfortable as well. Matt Zollers, I'm actually shocked that the line is as close as it is. I think it's only a 4.5 point spread, even with Zollers starting.
6.5, Texas A&M now. It's gone up to 6.5.
It's gone up to 6.5. I still think that's incredibly close line for what it is. But I do think that the Missouri pass rush, probably one of the best in the country, definitely one of the best in the conference. I think that's going to keep them in the game for a long time, being able to pressure Marcel Reed and not allow him to make big plays in the pocket for the entire game. But I do think at the end of the day, Zollers is not going to be able to do enough. He was okay when he came in his last game, but just really he's had 2 weeks. They've had 2 weeks to install a system to help him, so maybe it'll be different. And just a kind of a change of subject, but good for Bo Perbila. I legit thought he broke his leg, but apparently it's just a dislocated ankle, and there's a possibility he could return at the end of the season. So that's good for them. But for this game, obviously it's not going to be relevant because Zollers is playing. But give me Texas A&M.
He'll get to come back out for the Birmingham Bowl or the Milk Bowl or whatever they plan. So that's nice.
Yeah. We forgot to mention Cody's pick on the Georgia game. He's got Georgia comfortable, and he's got Texas A&M close in this game. Next one, Oregon travels to Iowa. Now, Iowa, well known for upsetting top 10 teams at home. They get at least one a year. I don't think they've done that yet this year, so there's the scare there. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think Oregon comes out and wins this game comfortably. I do think that this is the best Iowa offense we've seen in a long time, even though it's still not that great. So the bar was pretty low. But Iowa, one of those teams nobody's really talking about, but have a decent team, have a pretty good resume. Their losses haven't been horrible. But I think Oregon People are kind of down on Oregon right now because of their struggle wins. They don't look as dominant as they have, and I think they want to make a statement. So give me Oregon comfortable.
I'm picking Iowa. I have Iowa winning this game close. I think that weather is going to be a factor in this game. The temperatures, the projected weather is low 40s and spitting rain and wind the whole time. That to me is advantage Iowa. If you want, Iowa is going to make Oregon play their style of football, and I don't know if Oregon can do that. I think Iowa comes out at home, like you said, they upset top 10 teams every year. They played a really good Indiana team really close at home as well. I think this game goes Iowa's way and they get a statement win. Just for context, Big 10 games this year for Iowa. This is their point amounts. 38, 15, 37, 25, 41. Much better.
Yeah.
Like you said, much better. They're 4-1 in the conference, everything ahead of them. I like them to win this game. Upset over Oregon.
As I've said for years, if Iowa can get a dangerous offense, that's a championship level team with how good their defense always is every year.
Yep.
Cody's going to go with Oregon comfortable as well. The thing is, I usually look at the weather for each game, but for some reason this week I forgot to, and my opinion might have been different had I looked at the weather. But I'm going to stick with what I got. Iowa State at TCU. Again, Iowa State. I'm just going to preface this. There's not a lot of great games this week.
I like this slate. I like the games this week.
I usually don't pick teams that have losing records to be featured on these picks, but I had to pick a lot of losing record teams this week, or teams that are just not playing very well at the moment. But I'll let you take the lead on Iowa State TCU.
Give me TCU close. I think Iowa State hasn't been very competitive this year. They coming off another loss. They're 5-4, 2-4 in the Big 12. I think Josh Hoover's going to be able to have enough success in the air. Probably not a game that I will tune into. But give me TCU with a close win.
Yeah, give me TCU and the Fighting Furries to win comfortable over Iowa State Cyclones. I've been really disappointed the last couple of weeks with Iowa State. They just kind of seem like they've lost all their fight for the season. And that's happened before under Matt Campbell. So we'll see. I don't think Matt Campbell's in any danger of losing that job, but I think that's kind of why nobody's really seriously considered Matt Campbell for their coaching position. But give me TCU comfortable. Cody's got TCU close. Auburn at Vandy this week. Vanderbilt coming off a hard-fought loss. They probably should have had a chance to win that game if they recovered that onside kick in bounds. And then Auburn coming off an embarrassing loss at home to Kentucky, 10-3. Talk about a snooze fest of a game. See, honestly, that final score wouldn't have surprised me if it was at Kentucky, but it was at Auburn. It was on the Plains.
Yep.
And it was just a horrible performance.
To still refuse to play Deuce Night.
Offense
play Deuce Night.
Looks terrible. I mean, I feel so bad for DJ Durkin because Auburn has one of the best defenses in the country. Have not allowed more than 24 points in any game this season. Not once. And they're sitting at 4-5.
That's crazy.
So
that is insane.
It is crazy. DJ Durkin is taking over as the interim head coach. And I think that could energize this Auburn team. I was tempted to pick them, but I'm going to go Vandy, and I'm going to go Vandy comfortable. I think Vandy I still think those offensive struggles are there because nothing's changed with the offensive system. They're going to have a different play caller. And I know that the defense will probably play inspired football, but I think Vandy's kind of ticked at how they lost that game last week. They had a chance to win it and couldn't. Whereas Auburn, they've already had players choose to sit out. They've already had players announce they're hitting the portal. I think kind of the air has been let out of Auburn's football team right now. So give me Vandy comfortable this week.
Yeah, I think I've got Vandy close. Vandy has everything left in front of them. They've got Auburn, Kentucky, and then they have to travel to Neyland. Play Tennessee.
Winnable games, all three.
If they win those games, 10-2 SEC team, they might sneak in to the playoff.
Yeah.
So they have everything in front of them right now. Auburn's coming off of a firing their coach, a horrible loss, as you said. I think Auburn's defense is good enough that Vandy's going to win this game close because, again, that defense plays really, really good no matter what. And I think that's going to be the case again this week. And it lends themselves to a closer game. I think this is going to be close, but it'll be like a 6-point win or an 8-point win, something like that. But that still qualifies as close.
Yeah. The LSU Alabama game. Another. I wish I would have been here last week to talk about the Brian Kelly firing, but we won't get into that. But LSU, this is their first game since the Brian Kelly firing, and honestly, I think this could breathe new life into the LSU team. And again, this is another one where I was tempted to go one way, but I decided against it. But I'll let you start on this LSU Alabama game.
I mean, you set me up. I've got LSU winning this game, Zach.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
What?
Of course you do. You always pick against Alabama, no matter what.
I have not picked against Alabama. I have not picked against Alabama this year. Not to lose a game.
You picked Florida State to win week 1.
I have not made a wrong prediction for Alabama this year. I picked Georgia to beat them. That's the only team I picked. I picked Georgia to beat them. But you said it. They're re-energized. They've got not a lot of people hit the portal. They are still talented as crap. And Alabama can't run the football, Zach. Alabama can't run the football. And you know what LSU has had all year? A really good defense.
LSU can't run the ball either.
LSU can't run the football. But if LSU takes away the pass from Alabama, I think LSU can win a very low-scoring, ugly game, classic Kalen DeBoer loss here against LSU. Now, this is more of a pick for me to get some points. If I was a betting man who was putting my actual money on the line, I don't think I'd make this pick. But I have enough of it makes sense to me. I'm going to pick LSU close.
Yeah. Like I said, I was tempted to go one way, but I decided against it. Brian Kelly being fired, I think he legitimately was a locker room cancer. Literally haven't heard one person come out and say anything positive about him after being fired. Brian Kelly, his exit meeting with the team, I think lasted less than 5 minutes. He kind of acted like he really didn't care. Made no contact with any of the players after being fired. So I think Brian Kelly was the one holding back this team. I just think he never was a great fit. And we even mentioned that when he first got hired, and we said, look, he doesn't have to be a great fit if he wins games.
Right.
But he didn't do that. His first year he beat Bama, and it looked promising, but since then they've not really won anything. The last 3 LSU coaches all either won a national championship or won an SEC title, but he was the only one that didn't do either of the last 3 or 4 coaches at LSU. Yep. So I think they can play energized football, but I'm going to go Alabama close. It's at home. I think that's the difference.
It's the smart pick.
With them being at home, I think Alabama wins this game close. This is one of those classic rivalry games where it's like the Georgia-Florida game. It doesn't matter how good one team is. Yep. The game is always close. These two teams hate each other. And it is an absolute shame that LSU is not one of Alabama's permanent opponents every year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that Alabama's permanent opponents are Auburn and Tennessee and not LSU. I'm pretty sure that they're not a permanent opponent.
And Mississippi State.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's an absolute travesty. But always one of my favorite SEC games to watch every year is Alabama LSU. Cody's going to go Alabama comfortable. And this is just a little bit off topic, but I did see that someone on an LSU message board claims that Monday afternoon, Nick Saban is going to be named the head coach at LSU.
That bro is not.
Hey, he said that Miss Terry wants him to get back into coaching, and he does not want to.
She's probably tired of him being at home.
Did you see the video of
yes, dude. Sit up.
And he even said, he's like, look, these agents are calling Miss Terry, and she's very enticed by the amount of money they're offering me. So I'm trying to get them to stop calling her.
Jeez, dude. He would probably win a lot.
He'd win a natty.
Yeah.
Hands down, win another natty at LSU.
Yeah.
But let's move on next with Wake Forest at Virginia. Again, Dickert is getting a lot of attention from a lot. Once the big names kind of got off the board, then his name kind of shot up in a lot of people's lists because the success he had at Washington State. He turned a very irrelevant Wake Forest program. They're 5-4, but if you look at their losses, they're playing competitive.
They should have beat Tech.
They should have beaten Georgia Tech.
I will go to my grave with that.
They should have beaten Georgia Tech, and even in their losses, they've actually looked very. Other than last week. Last week was the only loss they looked really bad in. It was Florida State,
and it was the week that y'all picked them for Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, but I've got Virginia winning this game. I think they win it comfortably.
Yeah, Virginia comfortable.
Virginia comfortable. Robbie Ashford is Robbie Ashford. The Wake Forest defense is outperforming. They're playing well, but Virginia just knows how to win. They're not dominating anybody, but they've learned how to win games when they need to, and those are the most dangerous kind of teams.
If we weren't a family-friendly Christian podcast, we could call Robbie Ashford. We could take away the age.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm not going to comment on that. But you're taking Virginia comfortable as well?
Virginia comfortable, yep.
Yeah, and Cody is also going to take Virginia comfortable. So Wake Forest is probably going to win.
Yep.
All right, Florida State at Clemson, the major underachievers bowl.
Yep.
The two teams that everybody expected to run the ACC. And the most ironic part of this game.
I know this.
The most ironic part of this game is these two teams sued the ACC for revenue sharing and got what they wanted, that the ACC will show games based off of performance. The ones that get the most attention are going to be the ones that are doing the best. And both Florida State and Clemson both have losing records. They're both, I think, 3-5 or something like, or 4-4.
Florida State's
4-4 and 3-5. And so they're actually going to be a non-televised game, or not on a major network at least.
ACC network.
So that is hilarious.
It will not even register for ratings. The game is on a network that will not register for ratings.
Yeah. So give me your pick for this game.
Clemson's at home. I think the offense has gotten better. They played in a pretty high-scoring game against Duke last week. I think Clemson wins this game close.
All right. I'm actually going to go the other way. I got Florida State winning this game close. Dabo Swinney is just kind of spiraling right now. If you look at all of his post-game interviews right now, he kind of just seems to be losing grip on reality more and more every week. And it's kind of concerning. Even joking that he was going to lose his job right there on the spot after the loss last week. I will say, though, Dabo Swinney made some very valid points at his press conference. I think it was yesterday, about accountability with referees. Again, you don't have to be the biggest fan of Dabo Swinney, and yes, it's kind of hilarious to see how he's stumbling and failing this year after refusing to go to the portal. But put all that aside, put your bias against him aside, and listen to what he's saying. I think he makes some very valid points. There needs to be some accountability with college football refs. If coaches are going to lose their jobs over games and players are going to lose NIL money and all this stuff, we have to make referees full-time employees, and there has to be accountability for bad calls. But that was off topic. I'm going to pick Florida State close. I think Norvell, I think, is more on the hot seat than Dabo is, in my opinion. I think they need this game, so give me Florida State close. And then our resident ACC expert is going to pick Florida State close. He called it the mid-off, which is very true.
Mid-off, yes.
Florida at Kentucky. This is a 7. I don't know why this got the primetime slot, 7:45.
It's not the prime time. It's SEC Network, right?
Yeah, I always just consider the 7:30 game the primetime slot. But
primetime slot's LSU, Alabama.
But Florida at Kentucky. Kentucky coming off a big win against Auburn last week. Kentucky has looked not terrible the last couple of weeks, at least defensively, playing great. Offensively, they're still really bad. And Mark Stoops might stick around another year because they're overperforming a little bit. Florida coming off a heartbreaker of a loss. Give me your take on this game.
Well, I don't know if we could say Kentucky's playing good defensively. They had a good game against Texas and a good game against Auburn, but they did let up 56 points against Tennessee.
That happens every year, though.
504 yards. Anyways, I'm picking Florida comfortable in this game. I think that that Florida team's just better than the Kentucky team. That defense is good. I think Lagway's really trying to save his image at this point. And try to maybe save a little bit of his draft stock. Ball's a really good running back. I think they're going to be able to. I don't know if this is going to be this game might be 24-14 as well or 17-7. But I think that Florida can win this game comfortable.
Yeah, I've got Florida winning the game. I got them winning close. If we as Georgia fans know that going to Kroger Field, you don't go in there and dominate Kentucky.
Texas
at Kroger
learned
Field.
that.
Texas learned that lesson. Georgia's experienced that so many times. So I think for that reason alone, I mean, give credit to Kentucky fans because they're never in the hunt for anything, but they come out when they're playing night games at Kroger Field. They come out and support their team.
Wearing those chrome helmets.
And the Florida offense has struggled a lot this season. But I do think that defense does enough to win in this game. I think it's similar to what you said, a low-scoring, scrappy game, but Florida wins it close.
It's got to be, yeah.
And Cody's got Florida winning close as well. The game of the week, the one that College Game Day picked, and for a good reason, 7 traveling to number 8, BYU at Texas Tech, the two most relevant teams in the Big 12. BYU's had a surprising season. Texas Tech has had a surprising season. These two teams are poised to contend in the Big 12 for years to come. The weird number 47 quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, sorry, and then Baron Morton. I'm going to go first on this one. I've got Texas Tech winning this game comfortable because I think they need this game more than BYU does. I think they're a better all-around football team than BYU is, and I think that's why they win this game. Texas Tech needs a big win. They haven't really beaten a great team yet this season. They've had a lot of dominant wins, but they haven't had a win over a great football team yet. And I think this is their chance to make a statement and put themselves all alone atop the Big 12. So give me Texas Tech to win comfortable at home.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I just think they're a better team. Texas Tech hasn't lost really anything when Baron Morton's been their starting quarterback. They are a super solid team. They run the football well. They defend the run really well. And I just think they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on Bear Bachmeier. At home, I think it's the 20-year anniversary of the Michael Crabtree catch against Texas. So I think there's going to be a lot of energy there. Noon kick. Well, not local time, 11 a.m. Central, which every big game it feels like is at 11 a.m. Central now. Anyways,
the 12 o'clock slate's going to be awesome this Saturday.
12 o'clock is, and you know what? We're going to be on the golf course. We're walking off the golf course. Or no, you won't. Never mind.
I won't be.
Anyways, I'm on the same page. Texas Tech comfortable, and if Cody picks Texas Tech comfortable as well, BYU's definitely winning the game.
He's got Texas Tech close.
Okay.
So there's still hope.
Yeah, there's still hope.
All right. So for the Super Dogs this week, I'll just give Cody's first. He has Cal covering Louisville. I feel like he never goes outside the ACC for these picks.
I know. He's really – he loves
19 and a half is a lot of points. So that's
a lot of points.
I'm going to go UConn to cover Duke, 9.5.
Oh, man, I was there. That was my second one.
I'm going to pick UConn to cover Duke. I think UConn could potentially win this game. So that's why I picked it because I think they can cover it, but I think they can also win the game and get me 5 points. Jim Mora. Nobody's talking about this UConn team, but they're 6-3.
No one's going to talk about them.
No one's going to talk about them. They're not in a conference, and they don't play very many Power 4 teams, but they're playing better than you would think. Jim Mora definitely has resurrected this football program. So give me UConn to cover Duke.
I've got Syracuse covering the 28.5 against Miami. 28.5 is a 28.5 is a lot of points, dude.
Dude, they have a lacrosse player playing quarterback.
28 points is a lot of points.
Their only touchdown last week came on defense. They're so bad offensively right now, Mitchell.
I think
They're
Syracuse
so bad.
covers.
Oh, okay. You'll probably get it. You'll probably
That's a
get it.
lot of points in the for a conference game.
I understand that, but dude, I'm telling you, did you watch Syracuse play last week?
No, why would I watch Syracuse play?
Quarterback is so bad.
Why would I watch Syracuse play football?
I watched them because I don't know why I was watching them, to be honest with you.
That's crazy.
I was watching them, but
I believe in Joseph Filardi, okay?
The lacrosse player, Joseph Filardi.
4 of 18 for 39 yards with a 1.9 QBR, okay?
1.9. That's great.
He doesn't have to look, all they have to do is lose 35-7 and I get my points.
That's true. That is true.
It's a lot of points.
That is true.
And if they somehow pull off the upset of the century, this should be worth more points than 5.
Hey, we could change the rules next year to do it the way College Game Day does it, where if it's an outright upset, you get the amount of points that the spread was. So, like, if it was like if they're 20-point underdogs, you get 20 points if they won the game.
Let's do it. We'll change it next year. I like it.
All right. Well, that's the show this week.
That's the show. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next week. Hopefully, we can get Cody on here, back on the show soon.
Cody's been gone for a while.
I know, man. It's sad, Georgia Tech's good, and we've barely seen any of them.
Yeah, I know, right? He's never going to be able to. Well, you know what? He didn't want to come on the show this week. He didn't want to talk about Tech losing.
That's true.
State.
That's true. That's why we didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Tech let up 48 points. Haynes King had like 500 yards of total offense, and they lost.
Yeah, that defense doesn't look very good.
Yeah, Swiss cheese. All right, I hear Emerson. Emerson wants his dad.
Yeah.
So you're going to go get him. I'm going to go watch Thursday Night Football, I guess.
All right, man.
All right, we'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.